Thanks for joining us, everybody. This is Old Fashioned Catholics, and I'm Kevin.
And I'm Nick. And we are Catholics who like to drink old fashions, except for not tonight. Neither of us are drinking that tonight.
Neither of us are drinking old fashions.
But we film very late at night. It's 11:05 p.m. And that's when we've tucked everybody in for the night. And so we're glad you're joining us for our episode.
Yeah, and please forgive me. My face is lit up like I'm in front of a vanity mirror because my lighting is weird. I'm on a different device this evening. There's a blow-up mattress to my rear. Ignore all of those things.
Okay.
If this is your first time joining in, we like to talk about things that are relevant to our lives as Catholic husbands, fathers, guys who like to just talk about life. If you find it interesting, please listen along. Grab yourself a drink, alcoholic or non, doesn't matter to us. We'll give you a chance right now to see what we're drinking, and you can get something of your own. You can pause it now.
Welcome back. Okay, so Kevin.
So Nick, tonight.
Okay, go.
So Nick.
So Kevin, what are you sipping? What is that?
This is one of my homemade oatmeal stouts. I had it in a previous episode, and this is my last bottle of it. It is the eve of the Feast of the Ascension, and it's a big deal. The Ascension is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Holy cow. Yeah. And
that'd be like a whole other episode.
For some reason, more so than an old fashioned, you got me on old fashions. I love old fashions, but for some reason, when I drink a good beer, to me, it feels like celebration. And I think I think it's from my dad, because at every big liturgical feast, major feast in our family, he brings out all of his best beer that he's been cellaring. He's really good at cellaring beer. I can't, because I can't keep it long enough because I drink it.
Yeah.
But he has all of this amazing beer cellared. And so, it's Easter. We're all getting together for Easter. It's Easter vigil. We're dyeing Easter eggs. He's like, I've been cellaring this barley wine for 10 years. Here's a Belgian quadruple from the Trappist monks in northern Belgium. Here, let's drink that one. And it's always been synonymous with these big feasts to drink a really high quality beer that I would never drink any other time. So whenever I drink a beer, I feel like I'm celebrating instantly.
We first time I ever left the country, but we went to England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales over spring break, my second year of college, and we took a ferry from Wales over to Dublin, and it was a night ferry, so we'd go to sleep, but it was like there should have been a camera crew, because it was just guys around a bar on this ferry, and they just had huge glasses of beer, and they just sang songs all night together like a movie, like just swaying and singing. And I had never drank at that point, and I remember laying there just going like, that seems like the most celebratory moment that I've ever seen. Like at that point, it was so good. So yeah, I know what you mean.
It makes you realize where some of the inspiration for books and fairy tales comes from. You see some of these real life things. I mean, to me, I think that Catholics doing some form of business in an excellent way inspires me so greatly. Or just like, especially Catholic craftspeople.
Sure.
So when I think of the Trappist monks in Belgium, and I think there's one in Denmark, there are very few Trappist breweries, but when I think about their expertise and their dedication to their craft, it just gets me so giddy inside. Or when we were interviewing your pirate dentist friend, I just think about, here's someone who could be just your total run-of-the-mill dentist, but instead he has made his facility epic for children. You come in here and you're on an adventure if you are a child. So welcome. I love stuff like that so much, and Catholics need to be doing more and more of that.
It's like being more incarnational, almost like enjoying this life more and being better at it than the people, not the people around us, like comparison, but like we should just really hit life harder, I guess, in a sense. That makes sense. Are the Trappists the ones who invented like the thing for Lent, that they only drink beer? Is that Trappist or is that somebody else?
Oh, they're traditionally known for it. Yeah. Okay. Where,
like the Bach, beer is one of their double Bach or whatever.
Yeah. I would have to brush up on the details of it, but
somebody watching will know.
Somebody watching will know.
Yeah.
In essence, they're awesome. There are, I believe, maybe 7 or 8 official Trappist breweries, and that just basically means they are Benedictine monks that have fit certain criteria to be official Trappist breweries. There are other monks that brew beer, but as far as official Trappist breweries, there's certain criteria.
Does the Trappist have something to do with brewing? Is that where the Trappist thing
Yeah,
is? Oh, I didn't know
yeah,
that. I thought
yeah.
Trappist
Like
was like,
their thing is the
oh,
brewing of the beer.
oh,
Yep.
that's awesome.
And so you can find some of them in liquor stores anywhere, but there's one of them in particular that the only way to get their beer is to drive there and to drive up to their monastery, and you're limited to the amount of beer you can purchase each time you go there. They don't sell it in
Are they
stores or anything.
stateside?
No, no, no,
Oh,
no,
so you could never
no.
drive there. I get it. Well, that's
Yeah, so you'd have to go, I think they're in Belgium. So you have to go to Belgium, drive up to their monastery, wait in line.
huh.
You can buy your quota and then you go.
That's fun.
Yep,
They got a good racket going.
they do. They do. And their beers are consistently, if you look at all the world's best beer lists, they're always at the top.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you were saying, like just excellence within their field. It's like the group that Sister West Point was with, the Handmaids, were
Yeah,
how they just excel in whatever the field they're given.
I
And
know.
oh man, it's so good.
It's brilliant. It's
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant.
Um,
What are you
I
drinking?
I am so for my birthday, I received from my mom some scotch. This is it backwards in the camera or no?
No, it says Tomatin.
Yeah, Tomatin,
I don't know if I'm saying
14
that right.
year. It's aged in port casks, so port barrels. And holy cow, it's really. I don't ever buy scotch for myself because it's more expensive. And I think I must have said that in passing because my mother and my mother-in-law both got me scotch for my birthday.
What's the region? Is it Highland or Isla?
Yeah,
What is
it's a
it?
Highland single
Highland?
malt.
Can't go
Let's
wrong with
see,
Scotch.
it's really good. There's so much there, and I don't have a palate. Like I don't notice things, but apparently I do on this because there's like all these different tastes that you notice as you're drinking it. It's really fun. I love it. I like things that are really peaty. So
Mm-hmm.
so there's this is not about scotch. So on Amazon Prime, first there's a whole series on scotch. This old Scottish guy, it's a whole like it's more than one season on the background of scotch. It's so fun. It's like, it's the only liquor that's named, like the country is named after it or whatever. But there's a you have to rent it. It's called Neat, A History of Bourbon, and it's really good. I would say that there's a couple spots that I'm like, well, that's more of like a hipster. Like, I don't know. I like seeing old people talk about bourbon more than I like seeing a young guy with a handlebar. I like the handlebar. There's a difference. And
Right.
but anyway, the reason I'm saying that is because this is mostly gone. There's a scene in it where a guy who's worked for 3 generations at, I think it's Buffalo Trace, but he's talking about, have you heard of Pappy Van Winkle?
Nope.
Oh, so Pappy Van Winkle's like they're a very small distillery, and they put out a very small amount every year, and they were like virtually bankrupt at one point, and then somehow they got on some list. Somebody tasted them and then rated them as the best bourbon that Bourbon Magazine or whatever rated them as the best bourbon they had ever had. And so now every year they release, it's a lottery because the guy's like, we can't even possibly put out what people want. Like it just has to be a lottery. So anyway, this old guy talking, he's a 3rd generation Buffalo Trace guy. And he said he was sitting one time, he'd been given by Pappy Van Winkle's family, he had been given a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle, which is so hard to get. And so they had uncorked it, unstopped it, and he poured a little for his dad and his brother, and then the guy who gave it to him were there. And he poured a little bit in each glass, and then he put the stopper back on. And the guy who gave him the thing, Mr. Van Winkle, was like, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I'm putting the stopper back on because I'm going to save this. I can't believe I have a bottle of this." And he was like, "No, that's not how you do it. There are going to be endless old barrels forever, but you have your father and your brother here right now. So you keep that unstopped and you share it together." And he said, so they did. He said they sat for 3 hours. They talked about things that they had never told each other or whatever. And he said within 6 months, his dad and his brother were both dead. And they had shared that moment. And I'm like, oh, so I'm just drinking. I mean, obviously we're not, neither of us are going to be dead, but I'm sharing this. So that's what I have tonight.
You finish that bottle tonight. You
tonight.
finish it.
Anyway, so that's what I have. I have Scotch tonight. So neither of us are doing old fashions, but that's cool.
Scotch has a special place in my heart. I don't know that much about it. I know that I like it when I have it. I love Scotch, any kind of Scotch. I don't care if it's peated, non-peated. But it got kind of a fairy tale, romantic start for me, because the first time I ever had Scotch, we were at my uncle's funeral, who was an avid Scotch drinker. So all throughout his wake, his brothers and brothers-in-law are telling stories about drinking Scotch with him and all the great conversations they had and everything he knew about it. He just knew a lot about Scotch. Anyways, to the graveside, one of the uncles brings a couple bottles from our recently deceased uncle's cabinet of some of his really good, like really good high-end Scotch. And so then he just said, all right, everybody who wants to try it gets to try it. And so we had no cups. So we passed around this bottle of Scotch, and my cousin, who sings in an Irish band, just busted out an Irish tune that he knew. And so, I mean, obviously Irish and Scottish is different, but we're standing around my uncle's grave, who was Irish and Scottish, drinking Scotch, singing an Irish, I think it was The Parting Glass we may have sung.
Okay.
And it was delicious. And, people are just crying and being quiet and drinking Scotch. I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever experienced right now in this moment. Man. So from that moment forward, I had no choice but to think Scotch was cool.
Well, that's the thing with Scotch. Like you apart from a very small selection, you don't really mix Scotch with anything. You just receive it as it is. Like it's its own thing. It's so cool. When we lived on the island in Dominica, there was a restaurant there owned by this Canadian couple. It was called Tomato. And they had, they brewed their own beer locally, the Kabuli. Nice. There's Dominican Kabuli, and he served that there. And so I would go in there, and he'd always just give me a free glass of beer. And so I would come in and read or prep a lesson. And one day I walked in, and he was like, "Hey, Nick, come here." I said, "What?" And he had like a paper cup, and he poured like just this amount of something from a bottle of Scotch. And I'm like, "What is this?" And he's like, "This is a $500 bottle of Scotch." It's like, "Oh, whoop. Rob, this is a waste. I mean, I don't understand what I'm experiencing. So are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, man, come on. It's just taste it." And so I sipped it, and it was the greatest thing that I've ever tasted. It was the smoothest. I don't remember the name. He passed away since. I don't know what it was, but when I set the cup down, I was like, "Well, you ruined everything for me, Rob. Like I'll never taste that again for sure. Like in my life, I'll never buy a $500 bottle of Scotch." So so that was Scotch has a thing to it somehow. Oops, I'm losing you back. Are you there?
Oh, can you see me?
Yeah, I lost you.
Sorry,
but it said
I was there.
It said your name. Is that okay? It said Kevin Pelon twice. Big.
Well, you just said it now too.
It said we'll have. Well, everybody has to know your name, don't they?
Well, not everybody. There's always going to be somebody new watching.
Is there really though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So we can have
Same
Jesse.
People.
Jesse can take that out. He'll just morph my voice.
All right.
Kevin McHale. Good. Kevin McHale.
Kevin McHale, famous basketball player.
He's from Minnesota.
I did not know that.
Or was it Larry Bird's from here? No, it was Kevin McHale.
So in keeping with our tradition of our only scripted question, actually, how was your day?
My day was good. Jacelyn had this Wednesday off. We are trying to figure out, as we know, what's going on in our life. So we spent time today. We are looking at multiple places to possibly have to move in the meantime until God does whatever he's going to do. And so we've been looking at three separate places, and then looking at ways to make it possible to stay here. So we had a phone interview today with a place and found out that it'd be feasible to live there. One place is in Alaska, so that'd be it's a 3-year stint in Alaska. One is down south, and another one is here. yeah, so that's what we did. We took care of some of those details, and Jason did work a lot of the day. How about you? How was your day?
Well, how are your kids today?
They were good. They're good. They were good today.
Because you were
Because
telling me recently.
yeah, well, I
Uh,
had Christian home today and the two younger ones as every day, and they were good today. Things have taken an upswing. A while of like, I guess maybe 2 weeks ago. So I don't know. I'm a pretty outgoing person generally, but I've been different lately. I've noticed that like I don't look people in the eye as much. I kind of have a downturned eye, and I'm not as I'm at the grocery store, and normally I just chat forever, and I'm just like eyes down. I don't know. I've just been pretty introverted and stressed about everything going on, and trying to have the right attitude or whatever. And so we were going to go on a walk with the family at one point, and my kid, our whole family, there's been so much complaining, and
mm,
I have a hard time with complaining because I have a hard time understanding complaining, especially here, but in general. I just have I have my own real issues, and they're deep and they're visceral and actual, but that's not one of them. I have a hard time really feeling. So I've been ignoring my family. Like I'm with them, but I wasn't, what am I going to say? Everyone around me is complaining about everything. They're complaining about like this toy that they want, or this toy that, I mean, and nothing, like, I don't know. It seemed like to me that everything, it didn't matter what I said. The family was just, it didn't matter. Everything was wrong. So we were on a walk out in the woods, and Jason was like, what is your deal? Like, we're on a walk. We usually talk. I'm like, I just don't care. What am I going to say? Everyone's complaining. What can I say? No one listens. If I'd be like, come on, guys, actually, everything's pretty good. Is that going to help this? Like, and I kind of just went off, and Jason was like, that's a really valid point. Hold on a sec. And so we were off farther from the kids. So she called the kids over and was like, guys, we've taken a wrong turn recently. We've gotten off course, and it has to change now. We have to stop complaining. We have too much good in our life, and we're bringing poor dad down. Look at him. And I was standing there like slumped and just like not me. And it's funny. We had out in the woods. We just had a really long talk and just said, we're done with it. We waste every breath by complaining so much, and it can't. How has it ever helped us? So when we got back from the walk, every one of us had to take something that we cherish and give it to somebody that we care for. And so that each of the kids had, because part of the problem is they have so much that they don't care about any of it.
have everything. Have
They
everything
they just
that
have every
could ever
toy.
need.
And so like they just don't care if it breaks. They don't care if it's destroyed because they have more of it. And we were telling them like that's flawed. Like it reminded me of like how hard it is a rich man to get into heaven. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle, because you think it has something for you, but the more you have of it, it just doesn't. It has nothing. We thought when we scaled down to this house that we were gonna like be cramped, and we're like, we have too much space. We don't need floor space. We don't need things. We don't need a rec room that we turn the garage into. We don't need any of this. In fact, it brings us down. And so I can honestly say, since having done that, like everybody is on a better note now. It's a notable turn. So being home today wasn't bad. That's a long answer to your question, but yeah, today was
You
good.
hit on you hit on something that really rings true for me because I struggle with that, and there are there are times when I just want to throw everything away. Like my
Mm-hmm.
wife and I will have that same thought. Like, can we just get rid of everything
Yeah.
around us, everything that exists, every toy, and everything that I trip over or step on, or have to pick up 4 times in a row. And how did your kids? First of all, how did your kids handle finding something they cherish to give to someone who they love? Is what you said.
Somebody they care
And
for.
somebody they care for. And second of all, we're all in this. Everybody watching this, we're all in the same boat. We all have everything
Right.
that we need. So, would you recommend that every parent does that? Like, do you think that
Oh
was
gosh.
important?
I
It just is your opinion. Who cares?
Yeah, it's my opinion. Who cares? It's like a cow's opinion. Yes. If it's just my opinion, then heck yes. I heard, and I don't know where it was, and so maybe somebody listening would know. I heard somebody talking one time that their kids are allowed to have 5 things. Their kids have 5 toys. And because they had gotten to the point where their kids had hundreds of things, and it was overwhelming, and you're stepping on them, and no one cares when they break. And I've thrown away so many toys. I mean, I just, so
Yeah,
they
me
told
too.
their kids,
Recently.
yeah, they told, and they don't even know. My family, my
Nope.
wife, they have no clue what I've thrown away because it doesn't matter to them. Like, and there's a satisfaction when I chuck it because I'm like, I do the garbage. No one's gonna know. Like, but
I
but
feel you right now.
this family was saying, whoever it was, I wish it was a woman. She was saying that their kids are allowed 5 things, and what like a turnaround it is, because they got to keep the 5 things they love most, and how well they treat those things and how much they care for them. And I'm like, that's so for a while I was able to keep up with it. This is way back maybe in St. Cloud when we first was like settled in America. I had a policy that if you got a new toy, you got rid of one of the toys you had. You just, and we weren't at 5, but if you got something new, then you got rid of something. You don't just keep things. But I haven't been able to keep up with that. And I don't know what we're at now. But Jason and I were talking about whether we move overseas really soon or not. We are so excited to have the garage sale of epic proportions. We just want to sell 3/4. If we want to sell 3/4 of what we own. Jason was like, the only thing whatever I bring with me is Christmas decorations. That's what I'm bringing. I don't care about anything else. And for me, I don't know, everything I have is just on this countertop over here. So I don't really care. Like, I just don't care. We're selling one of if we move, especially like overseas, selling the cars, we're getting rid of this house. We're selling 3/4. It's like an estate sale. And it's just like, please take it. It just, because as soon as you start thinking about, okay, if we're going to move overseas, we have to pack things into a shipping container. You suddenly have to be like, what actually matters? And you're like, yeah, not much actually. Like, I don't know, if we could bring this couch, that'd be great to have something to sit on, but I think they have couches everywhere. So I think we should be, I don't know. Yeah. So that's where we're at. But I don't know. How was your day though? Like,
Man, I'm not ready to talk about it.
okay.
I'm really on this kick right now
Okay.
with you
Okay. Okay.
because I'm just looking around. I'm looking at the toys to my right. I'm like, yeah, it's just goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. I got 2 of my kids have birthdays coming up very soon, and I'm just like, they're gonna get new stuff, and we have been doing that, and actually we've gotten rid of a considerable amount of stuff over the past year. It's been good, but I'm more amazed at the amount of stuff we've gotten rid of, like the van and car and truckloads, and how much we still have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know that there are those of you listening that have had that same experience. Like, we've gotten rid of so much stuff. Why is there still so much stuff?
Yeah. But it's not even like you're trying to be like an ascetic. They a
No,
long E or a short E. Ascetic.
I don't know if it's ascetic or ascetic.
I'll say ascetic.
Asceticism.
It's aesthetic. So it's not like you're trying to be ascetic. It's just like and it's not even, you're just saying like, what do I need 1 fork? Like, it's not even that. It's just saying like, what profit is all the extra? Like, what is it? And there's a certain aspect in which even giving it locally, like giving it to a family so that they can have a bunch of stuff. You're like, yes, if they don't have any toys, then yes, absolutely. I'm not being stupid. I know, like, giving family, even getting 5 toys would be great. But there's a certain point where you're just like, more plastic. I just, there's got to be, I don't know. Yeah. And so that's what we're striving for.
Something has gone wrong. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like we've gone astray. Like Jason, like your wife said, like somewhere we got off course and we need to get back on course.
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel when, I get into that mode where I got family coming. I'm trying to clean up. And why am I cleaning up all this stuff again?
Well, and I think it probably starts there. Like, that's why Jason's so, man, like, I'm so vocal and I never shut up. But when she actually like vocalizes something like that, it's just so actual and moving, because she was just like, no, this is what we're gonna do when we get back to the house today. You pick something you like. And so for Christian, he loves building with his Legos and stuff, and so you're gonna take your special drawer of Legos and you're gonna build for some friends of his that he has. You're gonna build like actually cool, awesome something out of Legos, and you're gonna give it to him. And he's like, what? It's like, yeah, that's what you're going to do. And he did it, and he spent like hours doing it, and they're flipping amazing. And so each of the kids had to do that, and they hated it at first, but then when they really got into it, so for instance, Davey, he loves Calvin and Hobbes. Calvin Hobbes is,
Yeah,
because Calvin
dude.
Hobbes is the king. Like it's the ultimate like expression of boyhood. He loves Bill Watterson.
Yeah.
He knows all about him. And so for Christmas, he got this, the
I'm not sure
complete
if Davy's
works.
Calvin or Hobbes.
He has said
I
the
have to
same thing.
decide.
No, he has trouble deciding who he
He's
likes.
both.
Yep, he is. I think, and that's why he loves it so much. It's like two parts of his personality are expressed in this way.
Yeah.
And that's why
Oh my
people love
gosh,
Calvin
he
and Hobbes so
is.
much.
He's intelligence and chaos all in one.
Yeah, it's weird. And I mean, gosh. So that kid, anyway, he got the complete works and they're bound and they were very expensive. Um, but so we got home and we're like, but what do you love though? And he's like, well, I love my Calvin and Hobbes stuff. And for years from thrift stores, we've had the complete works, just they're tattered and whatever and ruined, or not ruined, they're just tattered. He falls asleep to them on his face every night. So he decided then we got some heavy duty Gorilla masking tape, clear tape, and we bound them back together, the old ones, the ones that he's loved on, and he gave them to his best friend at school. And because he was like, yeah, he didn't say, I won't say his name, but he said he loves Calvin and Hobbes. I'm like, well, wouldn't that be amazing? And David was like, he is gonna love this. And so he gave him his Calvin and Hobbes that have been all over the world with us, and gave him those and kept the newer ones or whatever. And the kid freaking loved it. And
Oh man.
so having had to do that, it was hard at first, but it's been good for them. That's probably a good place to start. Like you were saying, looking around, just going like, okay, what could, even like surreptitiously, what could we get rid of, and
Yeah.
not even tell the family, just what could we get rid of so that we have less.
Oh my gosh. This is so metaphorical, man. Like your life, my life,
Yeah.
all of our lives are, everybody, if you're watching, your life needs a purge. And
Yeah.
maybe you've done it already, but it needs another one. Like our church in our country needs a purge. Like everything needs a purge. And God is inspiring you right now with these words tonight, Nick, that I needed to hear, because I need a purge. We all need a purge. A bunch of our bishops need to purge. Like there's just things need to go, man.
Seriously.
Things need to go.
I mean, so I have a friend who actually, because of old-fashioned Catholics, this woman got in touch with me. She had found us. This is kind of fun. I don't know how it happened, but she was watching Father Mike videos and somehow we came up. So that's kind of, I guess we have an episode with he was in it. Anyway, she's been Marco Poloing me, asking questions just about the faith, and it's been really, really fun. But we've been talking about like, okay, what about the bad bishops and the bad priests? And like, yeah, we gotta clean house. Like I think that it's actually, she started in, and we won't go there, but the reason it started, she was asking about, well, isn't the president Catholic? And is he allowed to receive the Eucharist? And I'm like, well, you just kicked a hornet's nest. That's a really good question, isn't it? Like, and I'm trying to feel out where she is on things and stuff. And she's really open. It's really fun. But yeah, like bishops, like cleaning house of God, like that all has to happen. It'd be better if we did it instead of it having to be forced, like God forcing the hand. Like
it would be great if it could happen internally.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more and more evident that it can't.
Yeah.
That it's going to come from external forces.
I saw this guy on TikTok, and I have it somewhere, but it was just, obviously they're all quick 1-minute videos, but he was just saying like, I keep hearing all these Christians like lamenting our time. He's like, this is what we're made for. Like, what are you so downcast about? This is exactly where we thrive as Christians.
Which is why we need to purge, man.
Right.
Otherwise we're going to miss it. We're going to be distracted. Yeah. We're going to be so distracted with our heads in the sand. We're not going to realize the war that's right in front of us.
Right.
Like, if this is the time we're made for, then we have to be awake for it. We have to keep watch.
That book, From Christendom to Apostolic Age, we had mentioned it a few months ago. If we can put a link to it in the description, from Christendom to Apostolic Age, it was put out by the University of Mary. Holy cow. Just this guy who, I think I mentioned it before, so I won't go for a long time, but he had mentioned how we should be so excited to be placed in the time that we're in. No matter when it is, we should be excited. So if it's a time of prosperity, awesome. But if it's a time of not, we should be excited because God saw fit to put us here. And in an apostolic age, you have the impetus is on you to live it, to like truly, like, it's going to be hard. but that's okay. That's beautiful. Like it can be it can be a joyful, like the joy of the Lord is our strength. And so if we're in a tough time that requires strength of us, we can have the joy of the Lord, because this is when we were put. Like this is the exact
Yeah.
time to be. Yeah, definitely.
Well, and you think, bring it all the way back to your kids. You're talking about like, hey, you have everything. That's why you don't care about any of it. If we are just in prosperity our whole lives, we can't grow.
Right. Yeah.
Like if we have everything and want for nothing, we're not going to grow. A priest who is really wise said to me one time, he said, the only way that God can really help you grow is by putting you in a worse situation than you've been in before. I was like, oh, you just kind of left it there.
Ouch.
Dang, man.
I saw a woman on a TED Talk years ago who said, she said, well, you guys know, right, that confusion is a necessary part of the learning process, right? And I'm like, I did not know that. Like that struggle mentally.
Wait, everything's not supposed to just be easy all the time for our whole lives, and then we just die? Oh, yeah. Crap.
But isn't that, I mean, I don't know. There's a certain beauty to that. Because even seeing how it turned the kids around here, like just in our little household, to see how, not that they're not angels or saints at all, but there's just definitely a different mindset now. Even from, so like if you're listening and you're struggling with the same thing, like the complaining and the just like, I'm not satisfied with anything, even just having that conversation with them has been amazing, because it's something that both Jacelyn and I have hearkened back to multiple times since, being like, okay, guys, like at dinner tonight, we were just talking about, because tonight we went to mass and it was a confirmation mass here in town. And we were talking about like confirmation's flipping amazing. It's that's why the bishop used to slap you. And we were talking about, I wish that he would just full on like to the nose, get to punch you, and like just to wake you up because you're in the fight now. And like there's something exciting about being able to harken back and be like, hey, no, guys, I know we planned on this today and it didn't turn out, but we're in the fight. Like we already talked about this. Like we can rally and we can be excited for where we are, and we can remind ourselves that we don't have anything to complain about. And so it's been fun to be able to go back to that. Even if it isn't 100, you don't have an immediate change. You have a conversion moment that like reorients you, but to be able to come back to that and be like, oh no, we talked about this. We talked as a family, we talked about this. So yeah.
The moral of the story is we all need to look at our lives and purge something.
Yeah.
All of us. And maybe it's a continual process. Maybe we just need to keep purging.
Yeah.
And just then when you've purged and you look and say, dang it, it's all looking the same in my life. Just purge some more. And maybe that's a metaphor. Maybe it's not just your stuff.
Right. Well, no, I mean, because that's I think Jesus was saying that when he was talking about a rich man, the difficulty of getting into heaven. It wasn't just that, oh, well, if you have money, it's that internally we cling to things and they just don't matter. Like they're penultimate. They matter almost. But not fully. You have to pay bills, kind of. I mean, like, you have to pay your responsibilities, but things matter, kind of, but not in the horizon of eternity. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think about the people in the Southeast right now, dealing with fuel shortage.
Yeah,
and I thought about it, and some of the places you've been, some of the places I've been in the world, it just made me think, people are being mindful when they go out of their house right now. How much gas do I have? Can I get there and back? 90% of the world, probably, that's how they live every day. Like every single day, it's, do I have enough petrol? Do I have enough fuel to get me to there and back?
Well, even when it comes
that's just like normal life, but for us, it's a freaking crisis.
Yeah, well, because it is America. It looks like America might have a bit of a crisis when it comes to fuel and stuff. There's shutdowns in the pipeline and whatnot, like the chain of supply. And we're like, oh gosh. And in some ways it is serious, because what do you do if you need to drive somewhere like to a hospital or whatever? But like we've been trying to get in touch with people in Cambodia, because that's where we feel if we hope it's God's plan for us to go to Cambodia, because that would be all of our giftings and all of the things we care about, we'd be able to meet in their genuine needs. But nobody is responding from there. So I was like, what is going on? Like, maybe that's not it. Well, the other day I got to get on the phone with a priest who had been a missionary in Cambodia up till recently. And he works with the Pontifical international missionary organization. Anyway, he was saying, he's like, well, he's an Italian priest. And he said, I did want to tell you, it's not easy to live there. And I'm like, I know. We lived in third world countries and we lived in communist China, and I know it's not easy. He said, oh, okay. Some people don't realize how hard it is. But I did want to tell you, if they're not responding, it could be because, and then he just said, if they live outside of Phnom Penh, the capital city, then you regularly, daily don't have power. So they can't check their email. So when they get a chance, they get on a bus and they go into the capital city of Phnom Penh and they go to an internet cafe and they log on and they pay for their minute by minute to be on there. And if they get an email from an American who says they want to move to Cambodia, it just is probably at the bottom of their list because they only have a few minutes before they have to get on a bus and go back to their whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, that, because I'm over here going like, why don't they validate me? Like, I really wanted to go there.
Why aren't they excited to have us come to them?
Seriously, that's the feeling. You don't even realize you have it until someone puts it into perspective. It's so kindly and humbly. It was just like, just so you know, like, they only get a chance once a week to check email, and you're not their priority. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it just helps so much. I'm like, okay, I need to get rid of something. I'm going to cut the power. Well, because just after having that, where we live, we don't have city water. We don't have well water. We just have to have our water brought to us. And something is wrong with our cistern. It's leaking. So like we have a 2,500 gallon cistern, and if the water drains, we just don't have water. And this is International Falls, Minnesota. And so I was realizing the other day when I'm like trying to get down to where the hose is going into the cistern, there's sludge and there's dirt and I'm all muddy and I'm like buckets of it and I can't find the leak anywhere. And I'm like, this is probably just some sort of actual perfect preparation for like anywhere else that we're going to live in the world. Because when we lived in Dominica, it was the same way. Like you had power outages every day. If it rained, the internet didn't work. And that doesn't make any sense, but somehow it doesn't, work. So yeah. So I don't know where that's going.
It's going to a toast.
Go for
it. It's on my dregs here. I would like to propose a toast to all of us who are trying to live more simply. To all of those who have it figured out, please contact me and tell me how to live. Cheers.
Cheers.